we're going to do, everybody. We are going to talk about the real estate market. What else we got to do, right? Like that's what everybody's talking about right now. And I'm going to take you through some numbers. Now, I want to be the first, say, 15 minutes. We're going to be about 60 minutes, everybody. The first 15 minutes of this presentation, I'm going to take you through a lot of numbers. And I'm going to admit right now, it's a lot. But the reason I'm doing this is this content is something that you should consider using yourself with your clients. And you could use the exact content that we're going to present to you, or what you could do is you could choose to use more of a local content. I'm going to show you how to do that. I want this to be a real hands-on, almost a great way to position yourself as an authority in the marketplace. As I get started, I just need to change my screen here, everybody. If I could. See if I can do that. Not gonna let me do that. Okay, so we're gonna go. Okay, so my theory is this. When I started this, I thought to myself, how can we make this valuable for you? Make it valuable for you because Dana coming in? Yeah, I can't see any participants. So Dana Stroud just come in to see if she can help me here. And because I've got a number of screens. Oh, there they are. Now I see you all. Now I can see Tina. Now I can see Jennifer. Now I can see Pamela. There we go. Now I can see Aaron, right? Now I can see Heidi. Now I can see Ed. Okay, that makes me feel so much better. You know, just talking by yourself. I was literally staring at myself. Like, I promise you, that is not a lot of fun. And, you know, so it's funny. Some presentations I have the good fortune of doing with some companies is the Zoom that they use, you can't see anybody. And it's literally just me talking to me for sometimes 60 minutes. And, you know, my wife will admit, I don't mind talking to myself once in a while, but 60 minutes, if you know what I mean, that's a long time to be talking to yourself. So really cool stuff. So anyway, let me start again a little bit. When I was putting this together, I was thinking to myself, one of the great challenges I believe that our industry has, real estate agents, brokers, doesn't matter, is our ability to differentiate ourselves from all the other agents. So let's face it, we know there's a lot of agents in the industry. The change in the market has brought the membership down a little bit, but really not that much. I think it's going to come down a little bit more, and I'll throw my opinions in as I go. Please keep in mind, these are just my opinions. It doesn't mean they'll ever come true. It's just what I think is going to come true. And I'm probably wrong as much as I'm right, but some people just like to have an opinion as to what's going on. I think when it comes to real estate, I think I got a pretty strong outlook. Almost what I would call a global view, because I spent 40 years in this industry. I started when I was 24 years old, well, 39 years in this industry now, and I've seen many markets before. So I want to take you through a whole bunch of numbers. I'm going to try to highlight some numbers for you so you can, you know, see what I'm talking about. I can do that with my cursor. And then we're going to get into, I'm going to say, the more fun part of it. And that's where what I want to do is I want to spend some time with you, and I want to talk about what you can do to outperform the market. Because what I find in a lot of cases is a lot of people are talking, oh, market's really slow, market's really busy, whatever the case is. But the question is, are you responsible for that? Are you responsible when the market's busy? And are you responsible when the market's slow? And a lot of people tend to accept what is happening in the market instead of understanding that we don't really need to adjust our goals. We need to adjust our approach. Because let's say there's less sales, and I'll show you the sales numbers. We don't need to, you know, keep doing the same thing. What we need to do is adjust our approach so we can produce a better result. It's like this. There's no lack of resources. There's just a lack of resourcefulness. So I'm going to have that position all the time that, you know, if you're doing less business than you like to right now, then I think some of these ideas I'm going to give you will help you with that. So I'm going to give you 3 ways to outperform the market. And then also we do an event coming up in November, and that's part of why I'm doing this, not the only reason. But what we're going to do, this event, just, you know, 4 years in a row has sold out. Last year, we had 48 people that couldn't get a seat to it. So what we're going to do is we put together a really cool package, and this package we put together for you will not be available again this year, just so you know. Okay, so you will get the absolute lowest price to the event. But we'll get to that, and it'll take me 3-4 minutes at the end. So we're in an interesting marketplace. And what I mean by that is I believe that we have something called opposing forces that are taking place in real estate right now. Now, the good news is we all know that, I'm sure you all know by now, but, you know, Bank of Canada dropped the rates by 1/4 point today, which got us down to 4.5%. Now, listen, that is a great sign for real estate, but that's not solving our problem in the next 3 months, just so you know. we had rates go up 10 times and they've come down twice. Well, you can't go up 10 times, come down twice. Oh, market's back to normal. It's not back to normal. Okay. So it's going to take us a while to get there. We're going to get there. And when I say opposing forces, what directly impacts the number of real estate sales and prices is interest rates. Always have, always will. Interest rates go up, market slows down, prices soften, interest rates go down, number of sales go up, prices go up. The most impactful thing in real estate is always going to be interest rates because buyers, the people purchasing it, are so impacted by the rates. But what's interesting this time, opposed to any other downturn that I've seen in my 39 years, is that our prices have not fallen as far as they've fallen in the past. And that's because we have what I call opposing forces. Now, opposing forces, we have interest rates gone up, which has slowed the number of sales down. But generally speaking, in Canada right now, we have stable prices. They're down a couple points, but let's just say stable prices. Well, if I go back to other markets that dramatically slowed down because of interest rates, sales came down, and guess what came down with it? Prices came down 10, 15, 20% in some of these cases. The reason it's not happening as much right now is because we have so many people coming into Canada. We're now over 40 million people in Canada, okay? We're bringing in, I think last year we brought in 130 to 140,000 people. We're supposed to bring another 100,000 people this year. That is a lot of people moving into our country. Now, I understand that all of these new immigrants are not necessarily in a position right now to buy homes. Many of them are, by the way, because many of them are professionals that are coming over here with some money. But if you think about it, everybody needs a place to live, and everybody needs a place to live. They're living with somebody, they're renting, or they're buying. Now, we've all seen what has happened with rents over the last number of years. Rents have gone through the roof in Canada and will probably continue to go through the roof. And that forces some people into buying. So the reason we haven't seen prices drop, now we were used to back in 2020, 2021, and early 22, prices were going up substantially in a lot of markets by 15, 20% a year. And what's happening now is prices in most markets have stabilized. Some are still going up. Calgary is up 8% this year, and I'll show you some of these numbers. But I think the interesting thing is because of the opposing forces, we've seen sales numbers come down. So there's less sales opportunities for you as a real estate salesperson because sales numbers have come down, and I'll show you that. But prices have relatively stabilized. They've gone down, up and down a little, depending on the market. And that's because of these opposing forces, immigration and interest rates. So as we move forward, and I would suggest if you want to become an authority in your market, these are the 4 numbers you need to know, and you might want to write these down. The first number you need to know in your marketplace is the number of sales that are taking place in any given month. Now, that is just information. You got to turn information into insights. Let me explain what I mean. If you say to somebody, hey, guess what? There was, 872 sales last month, or there was 4,000 sales last month, depending on your market. That information is useless. And it is just information. You need to give them insights. What does that number mean? What does it mean to the month before? What does it mean to the same month last year? What does it mean to the same month 2, 3, 4 years ago? That's when you take information, just a plain number, and you turn it into an insight. So the first number you need to know is the number of sales that are taking place in your marketplace. Second, you need to know average price or benchmark price, because sales could come down by 20%, but prices didn't come down. So the number of sales are not always going to be the same as the prices, which we've had this year. You need to know the number of active listings. Now, a lot of people like to use new listings. I use active listings because when I'm trying to calculate the supply and demand of a market, I calculate it based on how many homes were on the market at the end of that month and how many sales took place in that month. So just as a really simple example, if there's 400 homes active, not new, 400 active listings at the end of the month, and you had 100 sales, you have 4 months of inventory. You see what I mean? Because you had 400 active listings, 100 sales, divide 100 into 400, and that tells you how many months of inventory you have. Your months of inventory, which is a fourth number you need to know, I'm going to show you all these numbers, by the way, but I'm going to show you for Canada, is your supply and demand ratio. So in other words, if you have 4 months of inventory, you basically have a balanced market. You have less than 4 months of inventory, you have a seller's market, okay? Right now, Calgary is sitting, I think, at 1.2 months of inventory. They have a strong seller's market. So their prices are going up fast. So if you got 2 months of inventory, opposed to 3 months of inventory, your prices are going up faster at 2 months of inventory than they will at 3. Does that make sense to everybody, what I'm saying? Okay. And you got to know these numbers. If you want to be perceived as an authority in this business, if you want to be able to have a conversation over coffee on the street, in the grocery store, with a potential buyer, with a potential seller, you got to know these numbers. You should be able to rhyme these numbers every month right off the top of your head. And these are the only 4 numbers you need to know right here. Okay. There's a million numbers out there, and there's others you could know, but these are the ones you absolutely need to know. Okay. So we move forward. Then you have to remember you have what I call macro markets and micro markets. And now I'm going to get into the numbers after I talk about this. So what is a macro market? A macro market is Canada. I'm going to give you numbers for Canada because I couldn't break down every market that's on this call right now. That is a macro market. Another macro market could be Toronto, it could be Calgary, it could be Winnipeg, it could be Halifax, okay? Macro market. Micro markets are broken up into 2 types of markets. It's property type. So condos is a micro market. Townhouses is a micro market. Detached a micro market. Waterfront's a micro market. Y'all with me? So if you were doing a listing presentation on a waterfront property, the only comparables you should use are the same as theirs. Would you agree? Because otherwise it's not a fair comparable. So, you know, Steve Koresh did a video on YouTube. He's one of our members out in Vancouver, and he actually had one condo building as a micro market. So he showed them, here's how many listings are for sale in this condo, and here's how many sold, and I think they had 11 months of inventory. So a micro market could be one condo building. The second part, so it could be property type, it can be a geographical area, right? So in other words, it could be a neighborhood. So they're your 2 micro markets. 1 is property type, 2 is geographical area. And by the way, you could use both. Would you agree? You could say condos in a geographical area. So the more, if you're working an area, you want to make sure you understand your micro market very, very clearly. Okay, so let's get into some numbers. So what I have for you here is these all came from the Canadian Real Estate Association. So any of you can access information anytime you want. And hopefully you can see the cursor that is sitting on the screen there, right there, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, this is Canada. You see down the bottom, this is Canada. Then we got all the provinces along the bottom. So this is the year over year price change of all of these particular markets. So you can see Canada, we're down about 1.75% in price overall. You can see BC is up about 1%. There's Alberta right there. Alberta's up 9% for argument's sake. Saskatchewan's up, okay? Manitoba's up. Ontario is down. It's the reason that this number for Canada is down is because of Ontario, because there's more volume in Ontario. So it pulls everything down a little bit more. But other than, you know, right over here, if we get into PEI, all other markets are up. Look at Newfoundland. Newfoundland's up 10% this year, right? So really interesting. Now, I show you this because the market this year has been much better than last year in terms of price appreciation. Now, the market next year, based on my opinion, will be even better than this year. We're moving the right direction, but we still got a ways to go. Okay, so that gives you an idea. So this is year over year percentage of change from June of last year to June of this year. So yes, Canada overall is down, but almost every other market, as you can see, has been up, okay, in a 12-month period. Now, if we move this forward a little bit, this here, this is called the average price forecast. And again, you can get all of these right on the website of Korea. They're all sitting right there. I download them from Korea. Now, this is forecast, everybody. This doesn't mean it's accurate. It's a forecast that Korea had put out. So if we look at this right here, you can see, and I'll just do Canada, but you can take a picture of this. You can get it on Korea. You can, you know, look at the numbers you want to look at. So Canada's forecast, you can see right here in 2023 was $667,000. They forecast that we were going to have a decrease of 3.6%. So let's start to look as we move forward into the forecast. So right here you can see the forecast for 2024 was going from 677 to 694, which is an increase of 2.5%. And if you go here, you can see 2025 to 729, that's an increase of 5%. So when I look at this, this clearly tells me that the worst part of the market is behind us. Would you all agree? That's what that clearly tells me that. And I'm not saying this forecast is 100% accurate, but I think it's going to be pretty close. So we have to realize that our prices are anticipated to go up over the next couple of years. So if a buyer is thinking about buying, when should they be buying? Pretty damn soon, right? And they go, but interest rates, well, get a short-term mortgage, because I think it's going to cost you an awful lot more if you wait to buy, even with the extra interest you would pay in that particular mortgage. So we have to start guiding our buyers that way, right? And say, listen, when you start showing them some of these numbers, right? And you can get your own numbers from your own market. When you start to show them these numbers, you start to realize, man, maybe I better get off the fence. Because ladies and gentlemen, seriously, if we go back to 2020, 2021, and the early part of 2022, you didn't have to be a great salesperson to motivate a buyer or seller. You didn't have to be. You could almost be like a customer service representative. And the reason why is because buyers were self-motivated, because they know that they lose one home, they're going to go after the next one really hard. They lose that one, they're going after the next one really hard. They were self-motivated. Did you have to really work a listing to get it to sell? No. Like, it was crazy. You couldn't underprice a listing for 2.5 years. You put any price on it, the bloody thing would sell. It was insane. Well, we got a different market now. We moved from a momentum-based market to a skills-based market. So if you want to succeed in this industry today, you got to be able to have valuable conversations with buyers and sellers and help them see when they should make a decision. Because our job as salespeople is to assist people in making decisions that are in their best interest. And the greatest way you can assist somebody is through education. When you help them see these sort of numbers, then all of a sudden everything starts to change, because now they can make an informed decision. But unless we know this stuff, unless we understand this, how could we ever advise anybody else on what they should be doing? So as we move forward, this is an interesting chart here. And again, you can get these from Korea. So if we look at this, this is monthly home sales, you can see right here, that have taken place, okay? You can see the 10-year average, right, is in black. That's a 10-year average. Now this right here, you see this lowest pot, that was COVID, right? That was a first month and second quarter, sorry, of 2022. You know, just market fell. This is when we were all going to commit suicide. This is when we were going to say, I'm getting out of the business. You know what I mean? I'm going to go do something else. My God. You know, that, and, you know, I remember my wife and I sitting around and go, hey, maybe we're retiring early. You know what I mean? Who knows? I didn't know what was going to happen. But all of a sudden, what happened? The market took off. It was insane. It was insane. And it rock and rolled for the rest of 2020, 2021, and the first half right here of 2022. Look at 22 right here, right? So it rock and rolled. Things are really good. Then it started to come down, popped up a little bit near the end of the year. And then it was early right here. You can see when everything started to go. Okay, so it started to go down, and then you can see it going up and down. But the good news is, you can't really see it in here, but we actually did over 40,000 sales in June in Canada. So again, it's moving the right direction. And we imagine showing this to a client, right? To show them what's going on. Or maybe you show them your micro market sort of graph the same way. This is like invaluable information. So this here is the number of sales. So I was showing you prices. Remember, I said you got to know the average price. You got to know the number of sales that are taking place. So, and this is forecast. You can see up here it says forecast. So here was the deal. 445,000 sales, 2023. That was going to be down 11.2%, okay, from 2022. Now, 2024, we're forecast committed 472, which is up 6.1% from last year. And we're forecast committed 500 in 2025, which is up 6% again. So when I look at the prices and when I look at the sales volume, would you agree it appears that the worst is behind us? That's what everything appears like, right? So when you know the worst is behind you, what advice would you start giving to buyers and sellers? And again, you can look at, you know, all of the numbers here. If you look at these, if I look at 2023 right here, I see a lot of minuses, minus, 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 minus. How many minuses do you see here? None. How many minuses do you see here? None. So in other words, everything is starting to trend the other way. The challenge is a lot of people don't know what's trending the other way, okay, until all of a sudden prices start to go up. Like the thing is, if somebody tries to time a market like a lot of buyers try to do, I'm going to time the market, right? I'm going to wait till prices start to go up. Well, guess when you know prices started to go up? After they've already gone up, right? The thing is, you got to be a little more proactive in your approach if you want to take advantage of opportunities in terms of price appreciation. So here's another one. This is your forecast. You can see 2023 right here. And then 2024, they're anticipating more. 2025, they're anticipating more. So look at this is 2021. We're sitting up here, 667,000 homes sold in 2021. The biggest year in the history of real estate in Canada. We've never done that many sales in the history. All COVID related. Then what happened? 2022, we dropped down, which, by the way, was still a decent year. It was about the 10-year average. Okay, but it came down. So everybody, you know, in our industry was, oh my God, sales are down, sales are down. Yes, they are. Then the next year, sales are down again. Oh my God, sales are down again. Now, which way are we going? We're going up. So I think we got to realize that we're moving towards more momentum in the market in terms of sales and in terms of price. So the third thing I said you need to know is active listings. So as of last month, we had 180,000 active listings, which was up 26% from the year before, from the June before. Now, in a lot of cases, we needed more listings because we had a severe shortage of listings in many, many markets. And literally, buyers couldn't find anything to buy, and sellers wouldn't sell because they had nowhere to go. You see? So we actually need more listings to start freeing people up to make moves. But look at months of inventory, MOI right here. We're sitting at 4.2. Remember, 4 to 6 is balanced. Below 4 sellers, above 6 is buyer's market. 4.2. And by the way, it was 4.3 in May. That is the first time months of inventory have actually dropped in 2024. Another interesting number. So when you look at all these numbers, again, we're trending in the right way. So this is, I think, let me just have a look here. I think this is one of the last I'm going to give you for numbers because I wanted to get into, okay, we had a couple more. So this is months of inventory, not in all markets, but a few of them. So if we look at this, TREB, Toronto Real Estate Board, 3.8 months in June, Vancouver, 5.6, Calgary, 1.4, Edmonton, 2.1, Nova Scotia, Associated Realtors, 4.2. But again, if you look, this was 1 year ago. So you can look easily and say our months of inventory is up, okay, in every market, is up in every market except Edmonton, okay? It's up in every market, which means I believe it's going to free up people to start moving. It's going to create more of a balance, I understand, in terms of prices, but it's going to free people up to start moving because sellers haven't been selling because they have absolutely no place to go. Well, we're going to start to see more activity starting to happen in the market when people see these numbers. Okay, so here's my prediction, and then we'll get into how to perform the market. So first of all, by a show of hands, what I presented to you so far, is that valuable to you? You seeing some stuff? Okay, because yes, I can see you. I don't think. I see Tara Lyons there. She put yes in the chat. Thank you, Tara. Okay. So I want to give you an overview of my predictions, and then what we'll do is move into 3 ways to outperform the market. So first of all, what I'm seeing right now is I'm seeing the experienced agents. If I look at our coaching program, if I look at, so many agents I talk to, the experienced agents in a lot of cases are still killing it in real estate, even with sales down. It's the newer agents that are struggling right now that I see. And that's what I just personally see. That's not in every single case, but the reason that is because if we go back 5 years, the skills you had 5 years ago will not work in this market, right? But the skills you had 10, 15, 20 years ago will, because you've got certain skills. You might have had to change the way to do it. I believe this. I believe the summer is going to be a little slower. I think our inventory might rise even a little bit more, but I think as we move into the fall, we're going to see more rate increase or decreases, I should say. I would not be shocked. And actually, I believe this to be true. We'll see 2 more rate decreases by the end of this year. That gets us 4 decreases opposed to 10 up. Now we're moving into territory, right, where everybody's going to get excited about real estate again. And remember, no matter how you cut it, we have a supply problem. According to the CMHC, we are short about 3 million homes in Canada right now. Come on. The Liberal government has a housing accelerator program. They understand the problem that we're faced with. So the opposing forces, that's why the market was so good for so long. We got all these people moving to our country. Interest rates are high. It was holding everything steady, bringing sales down. Now what's going to happen? Rates start going down, the market's going to start to heat up. And I would suggest that if you bought a home this year, 5 years from now, you're going to look like you're brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I believe that. Because I think the market's going to start to rock and roll. So I think we need to be talking to buyers about getting off the fence sooner than later. I think as inventory starts to rise, it's going to remain pretty where it is right now. I don't see it going too far for the rest of this year. I think inventory, instead of 4 months across Canada, I think you might see it slide below 4 months as we get into the fall and things start to happen. I don't think we're going to 2 months of inventory this year, but honestly, I can see by, say, the second quarter of next year where we could actually be into very low months of inventory again and prices starting to rise really fast. That's what I think is going to happen. Now, that is all based on the fact interest rates coming down, okay? Which again, I think is going to happen because, interest rates have done what they wanted them to do. So I think now we're going to see them start to drop, right? And then everything's going to come back to normal a little bit. So basically, the worst is behind us. We should be trying to get our buyers off the fence and tell them it's time to get back out in the marketplace, okay? Right now, there's 4 months of inventory. Sellers that were thinking about selling but couldn't find a place to go might have a little more selection right now. So I'd be back talking to my sellers that were thinking about doing it, but they say, I can't find anything. Well, now might be the time to get out there and start looking around, right? Because that causes them to buy, them to sell, more transactions start to take place, but it requires us as great salespeople or influencers to help them see what it is that we're seeing so they would make the same decision that you would make. Now, I'm not trying to persuade them in a negative way. I think you're just trying to help them. But I do believe by the second quarter of next year, I think prices are going to start to rise. Because remember, they've been relatively flat. I think we'll inch up a little bit, for the rest of this year. And I'm talking across Canada. I know some markets, but I think as we get into the second quarter of next year, I have a sneaky suspicion things are going to be rocking and rolling again. I really do. Okay? So we need to get prepared for that just because we honestly do not have enough housing. We have a systemic problem when it comes to housing in Canada right now. Rents are through the roof, and if you want a place to live, guess what? And not only that, the other thing we got to remember is you got the silent generation, which would be my parents, and you got the baby boomers, which is my generation. And I can't remember the number. I took it out of this presentation, but I think it's $85 trillion because the silent generation, the baby boomers have all the money, right now. But all of that money, because if you look at me, you can tell I'm moving to, the older side of things. So all of that money's got to transfer. And not only that, you honestly, so many people are giving gifts. 32% of first-time buyers are getting a gift and 10% of second-time buyers are getting a gift right now. So that's normal because the silent generation of baby boomers have so much money, right? Whether it's equity, whether it's cash, and they want to help their families, opposed to 30 years ago, people didn't get money till somebody died. Now people say, no, I want to help my kids get into it. So that'll start to spur the market, even if prices are very, very high. Okay, so 3 solutions. By a show of hands, who wants 3 solutions? Who wants to outperform the market? Come on, let me see your hand. Okay, so we're going to go out there. We're going to kill it. Let's get her going, man. Doesn't matter what's happening in the marketplace. Okay, so the first thing is this. Don't allow the market to determine how you feel. Allow the market to determine what you do. So many people get out there and, market's down, not as many sales happening right now. Oh, buyers are liars. Everybody's cutting commission. Oh, I can't believe what's going on. My God. And we get so caught up in this negativity, right? Especially when things are a little bit off. And I understand it because we're maybe not producing results at the level we'd like to produce them. But I'm going to show you some results of people that are killing it this year. I'm going to tell you how they're doing it. What we need to do is say, okay, well, we've got to determine in this market, what do I need to do to capitalize? If the sales pie is smaller, so it used to be this big, now it's this big. What do I need to do to take a bigger piece of that pie? That's what great competitive people do. So solution number one is this. We got to double down on our marketing efforts. I'm going to show you some. Double down on our marketing efforts. Now, let me explain what I mean. See, there's sales and there's marketing. Sales is when you are on the phone talking to somebody and you have an opportunity to influence them in a way. In other words, sell them, right? You know, whether it's setting an appointment, whether it's, you know, pricing their house right, whatever it happens to be, you have an opportunity to sell them. You're sitting doing a listing presentation, you're showing property. That is a sales opportunity. Marketing is what creates sales opportunities. And most agents I find are better at sort of the sales approach than all the marketing side of things. So let me say this to you. If you don't have enough leads right now, you don't have a sales problem, you have a marketing problem. If you're not making enough money right now, you don't have a sales problem, you have a marketing problem. So if the volume of sales are down, we need to get way better at what? Marketing, 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 marketing. We're going to decide, what do I need to do more of so that I can produce better results? Because at the end of the day, marketing is the oxygen that makes your business work. And if you're not really good at marketing, you're always going to live in what I call silent desperation. And silent desperation is where you want another deal, you want another sale, you want another client, you want another lead, but you honestly have no idea how and when it's going to come. That's silent desperation. But we've got to look at it and say, well, why don't I take responsibility and say, okay, I need to get out there marketing. And when it comes to marketing, let's narrow it down. There's only 17 ways to do it. There they all right there. They're all your opportunities. Now, when I get to my last point, I'm going to talk about more about which ones you should choose. But in all fairness, you got repeat business, you got referrals from alliances or maybe other rates, you got signed incoming calls, you got investors you can work with, geo-farming, direct mail, advertising, branding, website, online leads, referrals from agents, open houses, door knocking, drop-ins, you know, just listed, just sold, prospecting, events, social media, builders, and buying other people's businesses. They're your opportunities from a marketing standpoint. So what you have to do is say, okay, which ones am I going to do? And you should only do the ones you're good at and you love. And I'll explain that when I get to the third point. You should only do the ones. As a company, we truly believe that. You can operate within your genius, and we'll get to that. So here's Marnie. And Marnie's worked with us. She's actually going to be speaking at our event this year. So I'll throw a few of the speakers in as we go through this. But if you look at some of her numbers, you know, Marnie this year is the 19 ends, and that was up to the end of May, and 7 from her farm and 12 from her database. Now, she started a farm of 3,000 people. And it's absolutely killing it. Last year, all by herself, no assistance, she did $700,000. Now, where does she focus her attention? She doesn't try to do everything. What Marnie does is she focuses on her farm and she focuses on her database. Well, last year, by herself, $700,000. You can't tell me there's not lots of money out there. There's all kinds of it if you're doing better at marketing. So here's Eileen Laswell. So Eileen, like this lady is absolutely killing. So open houses, she loves open houses. Why? She's personable. And these aren't open houses. Every open house is an event. She actually did a course for us yesterday for all my top coaching members. So this year to date, she did $473,000 from open houses. And she's done 12 open houses. Now, you probably look at those numbers and go, oh my God, like I don't know how that's possible. It is. Because she has a system. She has a system how she picks the open house. She has a system. I mean a checklist. She showed us a whole checklist yesterday. Whole checklist on what she does to get ready. And she starts days in advance. She has a company that puts out her open house signs because she wants so many signs out there. Then she has the script she uses. She takes an assistant with her so that if it's not a hot lead, that she can go stay with the new people so she can focus on the hot lead. Because her goal is I want one hot lead out of every open house. That's her goal. She doesn't leave the house for 2 hours after the open house, and she tells the people not to come until 5 o'clock. Why? Because she sits and does all her follow-up emails at the house right after the open house to every lead that came through. And she follows up 3 days in a row with every lead that came through. $500,000 so far this year. She's got a system. So the secret is this. People go, well, I do open houses and I don't really get very good results. Well, it's not doing the open house. It's how you do the open house. It's the system you put in place. So Eileen's going to be at the event, talk about that. Evan Carmichael, this guy's amazing. Anyway, we've sort of become friends over the last couple of years. He has 3.8 million YouTube followers. 3.8. So anyway, I'm flying back from Phoenix about 4 months ago with Evan. And we're sitting beside each other in the plane. We're at an event together, right? And we're hanging out and we get talking about my business. And he goes, Rich, I don't understand why more real estate agents aren't using YouTube. I said, well, a lot of them don't like being on video and, they don't know what to say and all that sort of thing. So anyway, he's sitting there and he goes, if I was a real estate agent, excuse me, need some water. This is actually vodka, everybody. Can you see that? Vodka. You know what they say? They say you can't drink all day unless you start first thing in the morning. You know what I mean? So I can start early. Anyway, he says, here's what I would do. He said, it doesn't matter how many YouTube subscribers you have. That's not the issue. Because everybody goes, oh, I need all these subscribers. He goes, it wouldn't matter if you had 12, you had 20, you had 27, you had 40. It doesn't matter. He says, real estate agents, what they should be doing is they should be sitting down or on Zoom like this and have a conversation with influencers. So in other words, take somebody that you know that has a business. Take a lawyer, take a stager, take a mortgage broker, right? Take somebody who has a restaurant that you know. And he said, and you invite them to have a conversation on Zoom and you just record the conversation. And then you put it up on YouTube. He goes, so think about what happens there. That person has a restaurant. He says, they're going to be excited because you gave them an opportunity. True, right? They're going to go, wow, you're going to interview me? Yeah, I want to know all about your restaurant, right? And he said, second of all, what's going to happen is they're probably going to post that YouTube right on their channels or whatever the case is. And he goes, you don't have to do a presentation. You just have a conversation with somebody. So I said to Evan, I said, here's what I want you to do. You do me a big favor, buddy. Will you come to my event? And you come to my event in November, then I'm going to do a fireside chat with you. And he's got a few other strategies he wants to talk to everybody and exactly how to execute it, questions you should ask, how long they should be. He's got all that figured out, right? And you can follow him right now if you want. He's got 3.8 million. He knows what he's doing. And then he said, better still, you know what I'm going to do, Rich? I'm going to stay at your event for the whole 2 days, just so people can come up and talk to me. Because he's an introvert. He doesn't look like it, I know that, but he is an introvert. So he said, that way, I'm way better just standing in the hallway, people just talking to me and asking me about what would you do here? What would you do there? What would you do? How invaluable is that? Guy's got 3.8 million subscribers that has interviewed Tony Robbins that I can go on. So anyway, YouTube is a great idea and you don't necessarily have to, do a presentation yourself. That's the secret. Look at this. The market for artificial intelligence grew by $184 billion US in 2024. A considerable jump of nearly 50 billion compared to 2023. The staggering growth is expected to continue with the market racing past 826 billion US by 2030. Do you think artificial intelligence is going to change the way we always do business? It already is. It already is, right? In other words, write everything on your listing presentations. You can create it all. You can take a marketing piece today. You can take a marketing piece. You can take one of your, you go to realmark.ai, and it's free, realmark.ai, it's free. And you can take your geographical farming piece, you can take an ad you're going to put on YouTube, and you literally can put that piece into realmark.ai, and it will rate you in terms, you put in there what you want to accomplish, like I want to get listing leads, I want to get buyer leads, and it will rate you in about 10 different areas, how good that piece is, and then it will make suggestions as to how you can make that piece better. And that's free. That's free. So imagine that. So now you take a marketing piece that you've created, could be a brochure, you take in a listing presentation, use whatever you want. You just take a picture of it and you put it in, and it will tell you how you can improve that. AI is going to change our game, and we have to know what we should be using. So because of that, we're going to bring in Mark, and what he wants to talk about is more the whole idea of, it says down here, do more with less with AI. It says AI must knows and how to sweet talk your computer. The secret to AI is what you ask it. And that's where he wants to spend most of his time and also give you some other great ideas. So I know Tara's on this call. Tara, there it is. Tara just put in the chat, Realmark, okay? Realmark.ai, you can have a look at that. It's really cool stuff. And you can put in a marketing piece. Okay, so solution number 2 is this. So that's the first. We've got to double down on marketing, double down on marketing, double down on marketing. And when I get to number 3, I'll show you what we need to double down on. So as we get into this, increase your skills. And I will never forget, Brian Tracy said to me probably 20 years ago, you know, I had the good fortune of meeting Brian Tracy and having dinner with Brian and Barbara's wife, Sue, and I did. And he actually wanted to write a book together. We never did get around to that. But he was from Edmonton originally, now lives down in California. And like, he's a legend, an absolute legend. And I asked him, I said, what one piece of advice, any piece of advice would you want to give to somebody if you could help them increase their productivity? And he said, people need to understand, in most cases, they are one skill away from doubling their income. When he said that to me, it got me thinking. I said, one skill, you sure? Most people, if they pick the right skill, they could be one skill away from doubling their income. And so anyway, we chatted and then I left. I thought about that for like 2 days and I started thinking to myself, I said, he's right. If you pick the right skill, you could be one skill away from doubling your income. Here's an example. Let's say you go on a listing presentation. Let's say you have 4 months of inventory, right? I showed you that before. 400 listings at the end of the month, 100 sales, divide 100 into 400, we get 4 months of inventory. If we have 4 months of inventory, what percentage of the listings are selling every month? 25%, right? If you get, that's got to be like if 100 of 400 are going to sell in a given month, that's 25%. Well, if you have 25% of the listings selling every month, when you went in, you sit down and you're talking about price to a seller, could you say something like this? And this is nothing but a skill. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, listen, just, this is your home. You have the right to price your home at any price you want. However, what we really want to understand when we go to market is where do we have to be to cause somebody to be interested in your home? And right now, if you look at the market numbers, which I brought you right here, because remember, never tell them what you can show them. Never tell them what you can show them. Always show them. We had 400 listings at the end of last month. We had 100 sales. That means that 1 out of 4 homes sold last month. So what we have to realize when we go to market, based on the market right now, 1 out of 4 homes are going to sell. So what we need to do is we need to look at all the comps, all the comparables that are available, and we probably need to pick the 3, 4, or 5 homes that are most comparable to yours. In other words, if a buyer was going to go out and look at your home, what other homes might they look at? And then what we need to do is we need to decide, okay, what price, now this is if it's in good condition, but what price we need to put your home at so that all of those other homes will help you get sold. Because if we don't do that, if we price it wrong, we're going to help one of the other homes get sold because only 1 out of 4 are going to sell. Now, let's say you had that really cool conversation in a very nice way, a respectful way with a potential seller. Do you think they just seen something they didn't see before? That's the secret, right? Because now they're going, I never thought about it that way. But that is the reality of it. Well, if we go back to 2021, you didn't have to do that. Put a price on it. Let's sit back and get multiple offers, right? You couldn't underprice a house. Price it at $1. It'll sell for a fortune, right? That's not the case anymore. What about skills when it comes to working with buyers? Do you have the ability to have a conversation with a buyer and provide them with the right content so they can see beyond the shadow of a doubt that if they're interested in buying a home, it's probably now the time to do it before the end of this year? That's a skill. Well, back in 2021, you didn't need that skill because multiple offers in every single home. You just had to say, hey, you like that house? Yeah, well, you better put an offer in. And they lose 1 or they lose 2. And then on the third one, they're going, we're not losing this time. How much is it? 800 grand? We'll give you 1.8. Like, it was insane what was going on. This was insane. That is not normal. Great salespeople must have skill level. And that's why the more experienced agents are doing so bloody well right now. Like Marnie, like I showed you. Eileen, these people have been in the business a long time. They get it. They know what they have to do, right? Everybody else is trying to figure it out. So what one skill could change your business? Because see, we have moved from what I call a momentum-based market to a skills-based market. See, before it was momentum. Oh, things are happening. Leads are falling from the sky. How good is this, right? Well, now we moved into a skills-based market. And if people want to prosper in a big way, if you want to do well financially, you got to work on your skills. No different than me working on my presentation skills, my closing skills, whatever the case is, right? Like this 1-hour presentation that I put together, I don't know, probably 8 hours worth of work. I said to Jillian, my assistant today, I said, most people would have no idea no idea what you put into a 1 hour presentation. Because this is, we haven't done this presentation before. But so when you're getting ready for a listing presentation, that is the gold medal race in the Olympics when you're getting ready for a listing presentation. Like everything you've done, all the marketing, everything you've done to get that appointment. And the question is, what preparation went in? You're going to blow their mind. Same with an open house. You're going on an open house. People are going to walk in. They are interviewing you when you walk in that open house. They could be 3 doors down and want to sell. And guess what? They're interviewing you. What do they see? What do they see? Are they blown away by the experience? Are they blown away by the environment? Like Eileen even has a unique smell she puts in all of her houses. She's got a mat that she puts down in front of the door. That's what she goes to. And she goes, I realize that every single person that walks in that house is potentially interviewing me as their agent. So I'm going to blow their mind. That's skill. And this is not what I mean by skill. Come on, that's pretty fun, right? And that, this is down in Florida, but somebody sent me that from Florida. They go, Rich, can you believe this is on a sign? Free pizza with the purchase of this house. Wow. That's pretty funny though, don't you think? I saw that. I said, I got to share that somewhere. Okay. So here's Kevin, just give you an idea. And this is what I talk about skill. So Kevin's sitting there, again, one of our coaching clients, and he was in one of our high level coaching groups, MAC groups. And anyway, his goal this year was to move from 70% buyers, okay, to over 50% sellers, right? Because he's got young children. He was working too many nights and working too many weekends. So this year, okay, as of the end of June, he's right on track. But what skill did he have to develop? He developed 2. 1, listing presentation. He's got to get really good at listing presentation because we know it's almost impossible, okay, to have nights and weekends off spending all of our time with buyers. It's only possible when you work with sellers. Now, if you love working with buyers, that's great. So what he did, he put a whole system in place, okay, to allow him to start working more the listing side of the business. We had developed his listing presentation and generating listing leads. And then he put a referral agent in place to work with his buyers. So he's going to come to the event and talk about that because he's blown away by how much time. He says, for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm in control. He says, before I did this, I felt like the business controlled me, and now I feel like I control the business. And this guy's unbelievable. So Shaham, look at his numbers. Door knocking is not dead. 17 ends in 2024, 12 from door knocking in 2024. 6 buyers, 6 listings. GCI, as of the end of June, $833,000. Now he works high end. Okay, I'm going to tell you that. He works high end. But wouldn't you agree that's crazy? From door knocking. From door knocking. So he's going to get on stage and he's going to take us through exactly the process. Like he's going to role play with us. How he walks up to the door, when he knocks, what he says. If they're not home, what does he leave? Right? What does he do when he gets a lead? How does he handle it all? He's going to take us through his process from start to finish in terms of how to door knock. Because I'm telling you, door knocking is making a massive, massive comeback in real estate. Okay, so solution number 3. So stick with me. We got another few minutes to go. Find your genius and master it. This is probably the most important point of all. Listen, would you all agree that if you don't love what you do, there's no way you're going to do a lot of it? It's not going to happen. It will not happen. If there's anything I've learned in my 25 years of coaching and events, is that we got to help people find their genius. So here's what genius to me is. See, genius is often confused with high IQ. High IQ. This is a gross misunderstanding. It would be more helpful to see genius as simply an extraordinarily high degree of savvy in any given area of human activity. Does that make sense to everybody? So if you think about it, Einstein said, if you tried to teach a fish to climb a tree, it would think it's as dumb as a rock. And you would all agree, right? But if you put a fish in the water, that comes easy to them. Well, and if there's anything I've learned, right, and for the last year, I've been spending a lot of time in this area and really working with our members and at our events about this, is there's 17 ways to generate leads in real estate, and there's probably only 2 or 3 that you should be focused on. But those 2 or 3 that you should be focused on, you should double down on them. So what I mean by that is there's some people that can be in an open house, okay? And they're extroverts. They'd love to talk to people. They want to turn it into an event. They're almost party planner types, if you know what I mean, right? This is so fun for them. They're having the time of their life, and they get to meet people who want to buy or sell real estate. Guess what they should be doing? A lot of open houses. There's other people, which is probably more my personality. I'm a very strategic thinker, right? I'm more of an introvert than an extrovert. You know, I don't really like going to parties where there's a lot of people. That's just my personality, right? I can't help that. That's who I am. But I'm very strategic in the way that I think. So I'm a type of guy that I could lay out the best farm you've ever seen in your life. And I could sit and look at farming pieces and put them into Real Marked AI and improve it. And then I would track and measure my results. I would know exactly how many times I got to send out those pieces. I would know what pieces are getting the best result and which ones aren't. Somebody calls me, I think I'd be pretty good at converting them, or send me a text, send me an email. I'd be pretty good at converting them. That would be my thing. Like I could do that really, really, really well, right? And many other things, but you know, there's a few. So what I'm saying is that we got to understand that if you don't love it, then there's no way in the world you're ever going to be extraordinary at it. Because genius is knowing and using your natural talents, skills, and superpowers, and realizing you have a very limited number of each. A very limited number of each. So as I said to you before, like when it comes to complexity, I am terrible at complexity. If I go back and look at my whole life, when I owned my real estate brokerage back in the day, Dana Richard was my partner. He was the glue that held things together because I was just the guy that went and sold it. I like that. I like, you know, getting out there and doing a listing presentation. We used to do a lot of geographical farming. I could do that. You know, I look at RRI, this company, we're 25 years old this year. And my wife and I, Sue, started RRI together. RRI would not be where it is without her because she looks after all the operations. So I get to spend my time in areas that I'm pretty good at, and she gets to spend her time in areas that she's really good at because she can handle the details. I can't handle a lot of details. I get frustrated with too much going on in my head, right? But that's just me. So I have to surround myself with people who can do that. And you say, well, you know, we built one hell of a company, and there's only about 3 to 4 things that I'm responsible for in the company. But I spend a lot of time doing those. What you'll find is people become more successful. They spend more time in fewer things, more time in fewer things, because they're focusing on their genius. So what is genius? Genius is passion plus talent. Now, talent is natural. Passion is a form of love. Passion is a sense of enjoyment. And then talent. And what are you naturally talented? Because every single person on this call is naturally talented at a few things. There's no question. I don't know what they are, but you probably know what they are. Because when you're passionate about it, you love it. And when you're talented at it, you produce great results. So you might know this guy here, Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid, greatest hockey player in the world right now, almost won the Stanley Cup out in Edmonton. Do you think Connor McDavid hates playing hockey? No. He went from the Stanley Cup, you know, right out to playing the juniors or something, or whatever the worlds that were going on. See, he's passionate about hockey, isn't he? Passionate about it. He's also what? Talented. Talented. So passion is a love for something, and talent is something you naturally do really, really well. And if you don't know what you do really, really well, ask your spouse, ask your friends, ask your kids. They'll tell you what you do really, really well, right? And then find out. So you get to spend all day doing what comes natural to you and you love to do. You love to do. So back to this. Where's your passion and talent? Which of those things are your passion and talent? I'm going to tell you right now, if you're really good at open houses, you can be really good at events and community too. They work together, don't they? So there could be two. If you're very strategic, you want to figure things out, right? Geo farming, direct mail, maybe, could be advertising, branding, you know, that sort of thing. You know, some people say, I just want to master online leads. I know they're hard to convert, but I like that whole model because, you know, I just want to, you know, figure out a way that I can get all these people coming in. Like there's something there that appeals to all of you. And once you find those, you know, say 3, then double down on those 3 and don't worry about the rest. And you will not have to worry about success. It will come. So anyway, we have Dr. Gary Sanchez from the Y Institute. He developed something called Y.OS. It's called Y Operating System. And when you come to the event, you're going to discover your why. because this guy is absolutely brilliant. He used to be a dentist, and then he developed this whole Y.OS, and it was all based on what Simon Sinek talked. Remember, Simon talked about why, Simon Sinek? He became buddy with Simon, and he said, Simon, you teach the concept, but you haven't taught anybody how to discover their why. So he developed this whole Y.OS, and he's coming into the event, and you will all get to discover your why. But not only that, you can actually use this technology, should you choose, to discover the why of your clients, to find out how to communicate best with them, find out what it is they're looking for, so you can satisfy them in a whole new way. So, okay, so anyway, let's move on quickly here. I want to talk a little bit about the event, so hang with me until I get through this. But I want to say this. We've been doing this 25 years. We're Canadian from start to finish, so you're getting Canadian content, right? Just like I talked about the Canadian market today. Something that's also very, very important to understand is that if you wait to register for this event, I can almost assure you, you might not get in, because it is sold out now 4 years in a row, right? And we only allow it to get so big. That's a picture of the event there, but we don't want to make it any bigger. We thought, oh, maybe we'll go to a bigger venue. We go, no, we don't want to do that, because we like the energy in the room. We like the room. We like the location and all those sort of things. So Masters Academy, our signature event, is coming up November 5th and 6th. November 5th and 6th. And what, no better time for an event, right? You think about it, we're starting to get thinking about 2025, a great time to start thinking about planning for next year. So here are some of the highlights of this event. 2025 marketing ideas that will produce best results, okay? We got open houses, door knocking, farming, database systems, social media, agent referrals, events, and ROI acclaimed LRS system. These are just some of the things you're going to learn. Strategies to help you stand out from your competition. Answers to these questions. Why would a buyer or seller choose you? Like, if you can't ask that question, why would a buyer or seller choose you? You got to be able to say it in like 3 sentences. How to grow the listing side of your business, which again, if you want more nights and weekends off, it's critically important. Now, some of you say, no, I like the way it is, and that's all cool. We're going to talk about artificial intelligence, how to effectively work with buyers today, and buyer agency. We have to watch what's going on in the US. This is more important than ever before. So first of all, before I get into this, this is the original price. I'm going to show you what it is. But how many people, by a show of hands, have been to one of our Masters Academy events before? Just raise your hand. How many people have been there? Okay, so you can see we got a lot of people. Phil's got both hands up. Phil, I love that, buddy. And by the way, you're looking good. I like the goatee. You got a lot of shit going on there. It looks good. Here's what I want you to do. If you have been to an event before, put in the chat, what was your experience? Like, if somebody's sitting there right now trying to think, should I go, shouldn't I go? What would you say to convince them to go? Put it in the chat if you would. So here's what the deal is, everybody. 2 days at the event, you get your workbook, you get a private Facebook group, but here's 3 bonuses, and I'm actually going to give you, okay, today. Bonus number 1, online access to the replay of the one we had in 2023. So what we're going to do is, when you register for the event today, we're actually going to send you, and it's all broken down in sections. So you can go on, look at the title, pick a section, and what you can actually do is you can decide which ones you want to listen to. Like, they're all like 10 minutes, 20 minutes. The longest will be about 30 minutes long. So they're all broken out. You're going to get that. Bonus number 2, online access to replays and resources for 3 months. So after the event, we edit it, we break it into, bite-sized pieces, and then we'll send it out to you within 8 weeks of the event. So now you got the 2023 event you can start listening to now. Then you come to the event live, and then after, anything you really love that you or your team want to listen to it again, you can listen to it after. And also what we're going to do is we're also going to give you this. This is real estate market review. So how to do a market update. So this is an Instagram Canva template that we're going to provide you, that all you have to do is put in the numbers and put in your picture and your name. And you can do this every single month. And you go on and it's just, you just keep moving across. It's going to show all of the numbers. And it involves all 4 things that I talked about today. So what is the investment? 2 options. Number 1, you can buy 2 tickets. And by the way, you won't get this price any longer. $11.96 for 2 tickets, or 1 for $7.98 instead of $9.98. So you can see you can have a $200 savings on one, or what you can do is $11.96. I think that works out to $400 per ticket. So you buy one, you can find a friend that wants to go with you. And if you look at the value you're getting here, okay, so obviously you want to create that template, the whole deal. But if you want to take advantage of all this today, you got to do it by 5 o'clock Eastern time. Because here's what I know. Indecision is a thief of opportunity. Indecision is a thief of opportunity. If you like what we presented today, and if you want to go deep, and when I say deep, I mean, here's what's going to happen. People are going to get up on stage and they're going to say, here's how I do open houses. Here's the results that I've produced. I've made $473,000 so far this year. Here's how I do it. Ideas are presented. What's the idea? What result has the idea produced? And here's how I do it. We'll get up there and talk about, door knocking, farming, how to double your referrals. It goes on and on and on and on and on. So all you have to do is register as this. You got 3 opportunities. Number 1, there should be a link in your chat. Link in your chat. Number 2, you can scan this QR code. Or number 3, you can actually call the office. Okay. So maybe the easiest way is just get the link in the chat. Get registered for the event. You'll receive the Canva. You will also get the 2023 event that you can start to listen to right away. You will also receive your confirmation to the event. Come to the event. Don Miller, I see you there. Come on, buddy. Let's go. Let's get you here to the East Coast, Don. Get you out of that West Coast. Come on in here and hang out with us. Okay? Come to the event, and I promise you this. If you come to the event, and you can't take all the ideas away, because some of them aren't your genius. But if you know what your genius is, and you find out the way to handle that, then you take back. And let's say you implement one small change every month in 2025. As the market gets better, you get better, what happens to your income? It goes through the roof. One of the greatest investments you'll ever make. So I want to thank you all for being here today. I love looking at your wonderful, wonderful faces. I hope this was helpful to you. And watch the market. The worst is behind us. We're only going one way, everybody. From here on in, sales are going to go up. Prices will start to get much stronger next year. So I hope to see you in November. Thanks for being here, everybody. Talk to you all soon.